Hi everybody, this is a response to RockingMrE's video about UKIP. Now, it doesn't surprise me that RockingMrE agrees with a lot of the political positions of UKIP, a lot of the homophobia, the racism, and so on. What does surprise me, or what I do find odd here, is that RockingMrE is voting for anyone, because RockingMrE has described democracy in the past as an appeal to popularity and mob rule. So he doesn't agree with democracy, so really he shouldn't be voting for anybody. I'm not going to splice in bits of his video because he's a well-known crybaby who's got a reputation, as we all know, for flagging down videos that dare to be critical of him. By the way, if anyone could just download this video and be on standby to mirror it in case it gets taken down, that would be very good of you. Yeah, so RockingMrE, as we said, doesn't agree with democracy, doesn't believe in democracy, yet is advocating people vote for UKIP. So he's basically advocating that people become a mob, basically, by his own logic. He makes the usual claim as well, that most people from UKIP complain about. They refer to the EU as unelected bureaucrats. Well, again, if you don't believe in democracy, you shouldn't have a problem with people being unelected. You can have other problems with them, but but the fact they're unelected shouldn't be one of them. Some other points RockingMrE makes. He makes a reference to the mainstream establishment trying to tarnish UKIP's reputation. I don't know what you mean by mainstream establishment, as opposed to what the alternative establishment. And also he makes reference to the overwhelmingly left-wing establishment. I don't know if you're aware of this, RockingMrE, we're currently under a Tory government in this country, so we currently have a right-wing establishment. So that's nonsense right off the bat. Now, you mentioned here the possibility for diversity. This is something that you've said UKIP, that you appreciate about UKIP. They acknowledge the possibility for diversity as long as the system provides sustainable moral foundation. Now, you see, what that means really with UKIP is they're quite happy to have diversity, as long as all that diversity restrains itself within what UKIP consider to be traditional English or traditional British values. I mean, whichever way you want to look at it. That's how they want things done. So they're quite happy to have different people here, as long as they stop being so different, as long as they start speaking English all the time, as long as they make English their first language. Even if they're not talking to English people, they want them to be talking English all the time. They want them to stop adopting English customs and start dropping whatever customs they might have brought over from their own country. So that's sort of what they mean with this sort of sustainable moral foundation. They kind of want diversity as long as it's not diverse, basically. And you mentioned that you're of Greek origin, yet you're a Eurosceptic. That's just hypocrisy, really, isn't it? I don't know what else to say on that. I mean, I'm presuming you're of Greek origin, yet you live in Wales because your parents, or whoever it was, grandparents, I don't know how many generations removed from Greece you are, came over here presumably for work, I'm assuming. So yeah, straight off the bat we have hypocrisy there. And you say that Fringe lunatics have hopped on UKIP bandwagon. You see, they haven't hopped on the bandwagon. They're driving the fucking thing. These are the people. It's the people that we keep finding within UKIP who are coming up with not only racist and homophobic stuff, but blatantly racist, blatantly homophobic, blatantly sexist remarks. These are the actual candidates. These are candidates. These are people in high positions of power within the party. They're not just like weirdos who are voting for them, or people making the tea for UKIP. These are actual candidates. It's quite significant to note that these people have supposedly hopped on the bandwagon. Well, why are they the ones that we're actually supposedly being asked to vote for here? Why are they the ones that that are trying to get our votes? You say UKIP has a zero-tolerance policy to the far right. I mean, wow. So you're saying a far-right political party has a zero-tolerance policy to the far right? No, it doesn't. This is just the rebuttal there. And you mentioned ex-members of fascist BNP not allowed in UKIP, but you acknowledge some have avoided detection. UKIP's relationship with BNP has always been more than a little bit suspect, hasn't it? It's very difficult to figure out how many ex-BNP members are actually in UKIP, but what we really should... There certainly have been a number, some of whom have been allowed back into the party. And of course, Nigel Farage was very chummy with members of the BNP for a while. There obviously is a relationship that has been insinuated. I think it's been admitted, in fact, by the BNP that they and UKIP had a sort of unofficial pact with each other. Can we, figure out the exact details of that? Very difficult. But they certainly do have much more of a relationship with the BNP than other parties. Now, yes, there are members of the ex-members of the BNP in some of the major political parties as well. But UKIP do seem to have a slightly cosier relationship with the BNP than most parties. You've also got to ask yourself, why are they having to screen out the BNP in the first place? Why would they be attracting these many BNP members? It seems, I don't think it's coincidence that members of one far-right political party are being drawn to another. Another point RockingMrE makes, he talks about the benefits of language for communication. Yes, I agree with that. But then he says that leftists try to restrict language by complaining about political correctness. They say, oh, we're using political correctness, they try and restrict people's language and thus restrict communication. That's actually the exact opposite of what political correctness is supposed to do. The whole idea of political correctness, and it's a term that's become very corrupted by people. The whole idea of political correctness originally was to come up with a set of terms that everyone could agree on the meaning of, so as to make communication better, so as we weren't talking past each other. If we could agree on what the politically correct term for something or someone was, we'd know when someone was using that, we'd all know exactly what that term meant. We wouldn't be confused by it or offended by it. We wouldn't hear a certain word and find that offensive. Like, for example, let's say a word like Paki. Now, some people, when they use the word Paki, are just using it as an abbreviation for Pakistani. But a very large number of people use the term offensively. It's meant as a derogatory slur. And it's difficult to know if two people are having a conversation, if someone uses the word Paki, whether they're being offensive, they're talking about people of Asian origin in a derogatory manner, or if they're just trying to use it as an abbreviation. Because of this, a word like Paki is not considered politically correct, because it's difficult to know what someone means when they're using it, and usually I think it does mean it's generally accepted to be a bit offensive, which is why it's fallen into disuse. You won't hear a word like that outside of colloquial conversation. In any actual political discussion, anything like that, you will hear the word Pakistani used in full, or if it's just used to refer to a person of Asian origin, person of Asian origin. That's what political correctness means. If you want to have a discussion about people of Asian origin, you can do so quite easily. You just use the politically correct term. You say they're an Asian or they're a Pakistani or whatever, and you don't use a word like Paki because it's not politically correct, because its meaning and the intent behind its meaning can differ from social group to social group to social group, or from era to era to era. So, far from restricting language, political correctness it restricts language, but it increases communication, if you like. You can still communicate the same points, but it's much clearer to the people you're talking to what you mean. So that's what political correctness means. It has nothing to do with trying to repress people, or repress people's freedom of expression. It's all about improving communication. You also refer to, I think, maternity leave and women's rights in general. You seem to equate them to Stalinist orthodoxy. You could maybe get away with referring to those things as Leninist, but Stalinist, those ideas didn't really work under Stalin, as well as they had done under Lenin. But then obviously, comparing these things to Lenin wouldn't be the ultimate below the belt blow you're going for here, would they? So it's sort of on one hand not that surprising that Rocking Mr. E sympathises with UKIP. However, given that he thinks democracy is an appeal to popularity and mob rule, it's surprising that he's voting for anybody. But let me know what you think, everyone. Goodbye.